Pre-game, we brought you part one of a sit-down between Tigers GM Ron Gardenhire and his son Toby, who's been helping out with the Twins. While Toby knows he still has plenty to learn, he's always reminded of the many lessons his dad Ron taught him about the game. And with that, we bring you part two.
Well, I always remember you used to always say, don't ever forget what it was like when I was a player. So don't ever forget how hard the game is, because it's really easy when you're coaching. What I've found is that you can sit there and second guess everything, and you watch somebody do something and you can say, what is he doing, what is he thinking? Well, if you remember what it was like when you played, and that's what you used to always tell me, was remember that, because I remember what it was like when I was played, and it was really hard. And I made a lot of mistakes, so I always try to remember that I made the same mistakes that all these guys are making, so that's what I try to remember.
I was proud no matter what he did. It didn't matter. You know, he made good decisions, always did make good decisions, was always a good kid and handled himself and a good friend. Those are the important things for me, and it's no different when you look across. I expected to see him. I know he's a great baseball guy. I know he handles himself very well, and he'll do well teaching this game. So him being over there was kind of something that, you know, you want to see happen. Didn't know it would happen this early, and this is a great, you know, a great thing right now that the Twins have done, is let you get this opportunity. But you got a lot of growing to do. Don't ever stop learning the game, and don't ever think you know everything, because the game keeps growing, always will, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm still growing as a manager now, and I don't think you should ever do that, and I know that you know that.
I think the biggest part of the whole thing, me coming up here, so I can learn from these guys. But for them to send me here, where you're at, and give me a chance to go out there and exchange the lineup cards and everything was a pretty special thing. So I'm very thankful to the Minnesota Twins for letting me do this. It's like they said, that's not an everyday experience when father and son get to exchange lineup cards out there. So it was a pretty cool deal. It's
a great learning experience, because the pace of the game, the speed of the game in the big league is so different than it is in the minor leagues, and I know you'll see it from the dugout while you're here. The pace of the game, the speed, is something that minor league coaches, sometimes guys that played in the big leagues, forget when you start coaching in the minor leagues. I know I did. When I got to the big leagues, it was wow. Yeah. You know, this game is at a pace that you just don't see in the minor leagues. So it's really important to stand up there and watch this thing, and how fast things happen and how quick the game is up here according to where you're at, so you can prepare players for that.
You know, just because we know each other so well, I'm sure I don't think we butt heads really, because I've always kind of, you know, I trust everything that he says on the baseball field.
No, you don't. He doesn't.
I've been on the bench with him a few times. When I was with the Twins, I got to go to big league camp a few times as a player. Some of my last few years, I got to go to big league camp, and he was managing then. And I remember one time I was playing third base, and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Toby," he said, "you might bunt." He said, "Give him a step." So I took a step in. He said, "Don't." A little bit. So I took another step in, and he goes, "Get in on the grass." And I went, "I am on the grass." And he looked at me, and the umpire, the funniest part about the whole thing was that the umpire was standing over there, and the umpire saw what happened, and he started laughing, and he couldn't stop laughing. So I looked at the umpire, and he said, "That was a father-son dispute on a Major League Baseball field." He said, "That's pretty funny." I said, "Yeah, well, that's pretty good."
You know every bit as much about baseball as I do. I just got more experience at this point. You handle people really well. You've been in baseball your whole life. And that managing is about managing people, handling people, and getting the most out of everybody that works for you, and creating an atmosphere where the players love. And you've done that very nicely. You do that really well. It's easy for you. So
a lot of it comes with experience, though, too, because there's been a lot of games this year, this being my first year managing a full team, where I've had games where it was like I felt things were going really fast, and I was like, whoa, 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 slow things down. And I look back and I said, I should have done this, should have done this, I should have done this. So it's, you know, I think that the experience part just gains that, and you've had a lot of that. So
I have over 1,000 wins in the major leagues as a manager. I also have over 1,000 losses, so I get both sides of that.
Yeah.